Danny Pedreira. El Último Constituyente. It is on sale here at Books and Books, right? How much?
20.
A steal at $24.95. And as all of us know, it chronicles the life of Cuban Senator Emilio Millo Ochoa, a man who dedicated his entire life to his homeland, my homeland, your homeland. Millo was a great friend of my dad. I know that he was a friend of all of you and your parents as well. He was a fixture in all of our events. Correct, Lincoln? There was not an event in our community where you did not find Millo Ochoa, especially in my early years in public service. He was so important to me. And he joined the ranks of so many exiled politicians and public figures and revolutionary leaders. And I know you know these names, Tony de Varona, Luis Casero Guillén, Aristides Sosa de Quesada. We have some of these family members right here with us. Ramón Grau, Rafael Díaz Valar, Antonio Alonso Ávila, Aloncito, Prisciliano Falcón, Roberto Rodríguez Aragón. Well, so many others. I mean, it's a long list, and I know that their loved ones are here. But they lent their advice and support to Lincoln and to me and to Mario, to so many up and coming. And I remember very well the last event that we held, at least that I participated in for Millo, and that was in his favorite place, Havana Harry's in the Gables, where South Florida's Cuban exile community came together to celebrate the life of this living legend, the last living signer of the 1940 Constitution, which remains to this day the document which we all aspire when we return to a free and democratic Cuba, which will happen. At 98 years of age, Millo was still going strong at that event. And as the first Hispanic woman and the first Cuban American elected to Congress, I look back on the legacy of so many people who have been fixtures in our community, who have been so pivotal to the shaping of our democracy in my native homeland of Cuba. And of course, Millo Ochoa was one of those pillars because he placed principles and country before politics. He strove every day to make Cuba a better country for all, never forgetting his roots, never forgetting his country. He fought every day here in exile to have that Cuba live up to that Constitution that it never did. As a legislator, Millo strived to reach consensus, not an easy thing in our exile community, and to bring people and ideas together toward a common goal, and that was the well-being of the Cuban people. Danny's work is vitally important for that reason, because he highlights one of these leading figures of our exile community, leading figures of Cuba, leading figures here in the United States. And Danny, as a member of the younger generation, and of course at my age anyone is part of the younger generation, but he really is, he took up the mantle of preserving our history in an effort to ensure that those who fought for their country will be remembered. And that's a laudable task. Let us never forget those men and women who fought here in exile and fought in Cuba to make that dream of a free and democratic Cuba a reality. And Danny is symbolic, he's emblematic of Martí's famous Pinos Nuevos, the new pines who are rising and growing, and his love of history is matched only by his dedication to seeing democracy take root in my native homeland of Cuba, a place that is marked by total totalitarian repression of the Castro regime. And all of us know that since it came ruthlessly into power in '59, the Castro regime has sought to rewrite Cuba's history, replacing the nation's highlights and successes with fraudulent stories of communist revolutionaries and ideological uniformity. 55 years plus of dictatorship and exile have taken its toll on Cuban history and how it is conveyed to the next generation. But that is why it falls on the task of historians. Historians like Danny, historians like Rafael Díaz Balart, historians like my father, to remind people of what the truth really is. And, you know, today, as we know, it marks a very important anniversary, the 20th anniversary of such a pivotal moment of Cuba's contemporary history, Maleconazo. And most of us will never forget the images just 20 years ago of men and women protesting in the streets where they were harassed and kicked by the security forces of Castro. What was their crime? As always, to defend freedom, to defend liberty, to have their words matter, and they spoke louder than ever. And the Castro regime, to this day, continues to harass and to beat and imprison and detain and torture all of those brave Cubans who dare to speak up. My other legislator before my first legislative brother, Lincoln was the first, and now my current legislative brother, Mario Diaz-Balart, and I just had the honor, what a privilege, 3 days ago to meet with Iris Perez Aguilera in Washington, and to hear her stories. And I asked her, how many times, Iris, have you been arrested? She goes, oh, por favor, Ileana, I can't tell you. How many times have I been arrested? I can't count that high. How many times have you been beaten? Oh, por favor. I mean, I can't count the number of times that I have been physically assaulted. And what an incredible woman. What an incredible woman, married to an unbelievable man, Jorge Luis Perez Antunes. What leaders. And their attempts every day to get the word out to everybody in far-flung little towns about what is going on in Cuba. And it doesn't matter how many times they're detained. It doesn't matter how many times that they're kicked. And Mario and I were in awe. Just like when Lincoln and I continue to meet with these leaders, and we say, how is it possible that after so many years, we still have people like Mejio Ochoa, who are standing up and speaking about freedom and democracy and respect for the rule of law, separation of powers, the foundation of a democratic society. But it starts with making sure that we never forget our history. As we know, as George Santayana said, those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. So we will never repeat it. We will never repeat those errors. But it starts with acknowledging our past, living up to the ideals of the future, and striving every day to make them our reality. And books like the one that Danny has written inspire us and ensure that we can indeed chart a better course, a new course toward a bright future for Cuba. And it will start with you and me, always remembering and standing up for the values that Mejio Ochoa wrote in the 1940 Constitution. Felicidades, Danny. Felicidades a todos ustedes.